We wear a lot of masks to get through the day. The I can do it myself mask, the pleasure to have in class mask, the I'm just trying to survive mask, and they all work for a while. But the trickiest mask of them all is the one that lies underneath everything else, and that's resistance. And it doesn't necessarily feel like fear. It feels like this very convenient, I'll just do it tomorrow fog that prevents us from doing the thing that we know is going to move the needle forward. It feels like your energy is just completely drained. It looks like not having clarity. It feels like not having enough time in the day. It feels like this sense of, oh, I've made so much progress today and I've done enough. But really, you haven't run across the finish line. You've only run 3/4 of the race, and you still have a quarter of the race to go. And as you're kind of sinking into, oh, I just feel so tired or I feel so exhausted, suddenly you find the energy to make dinner, clean your entire kitchen, do a few loads of laundry, online shop, go on a walk, scroll on TikTok, all in one night, instead of doing the thing that you know is going to move the needle. So today I really want to unpack this super sneaky energy and how it convinces us that something else is more urgent than our own growth. So if you've been waiting for clarity or waiting for the right time or waiting for energy to just magically return, let's dig in, figure out what this mask is, how it shows up, and how we can start to dissolve it so that you can move forward into your new life. The lack of clarity, the feeling drained, the feeling like there's not enough time in the day, these are the super sneaky energies that come in to cut you off at the knees when you're trying to make a change. It's resistance dressed in different clothes. When you start walking down this path towards change, you sort of know that these super sneaky energies are going to pop up because there's a reason why you want to make the change in the first place. You know, something is keeping you in your current life, so it is going to try and keep you there as you try to get out of that current life, as you try to grow. And you sort of have to have a magnifying glass out, just looking for these energies. For me, you know, when I started this podcast, I knew that there were going to be these super sneaky energies that come up. So each week behind the scenes, I've been on the hunt for this sneaky energy to try to cut me off at the knees. I've spotted a lot of this sneaky energy. And really what it's been trying to do is test me on whether I would continue and release the next episode. So let's see, I'm on episode 22 right now. So for the past 22 weeks, there has been a different type of sneaky energy every single week. There's been fire alarms, power outages, a literal tornado. There's been more tornado sirens in the past 3 months than I think I've heard in my entire life. There's been hotels with bad Wi-Fi. There's been work dinners. There's been people from my real life listening to the show and having feedback for me on the show. There's been that meeting that sneaks on my calendar after 5 p.m. There's been several dings of Teams chats just coming into my inbox after 5 p.m. You know, I'm like trying to figure out when I'm going to eat dinner and make dinner in the midst of doing this podcast, having a full-time job. You know, it's all these sorts of energies that have been coming in. But each time my strategy has been to see the sneaky energy, to nod, and to keep walking. But I just realized that there's been an even sneakier energy that has gone undetected. It's this last layer of a mask, the last facade that's keeping you in your current life or your old life and preventing you from moving through it and into your new life or the life that you really want. So this undetected energy has a very specific goal of keeping you in your old life. Now, I never would have figured this out had I not started reading the book, The Courage to Be Disliked. And I'm myself am not much of a reader. I only really read books when multiple people tell me about them. And for this book, 3 different people told me about the book. And each time I just felt this intuitive nudge of like, oh my God, I have to read that book. So I start reading this book. I get to page 14 and it blows my mind. What they're basically saying is, in the book, it's formatted to where this youth person is having a conversation with a philosopher. And they're going back and forth in sort of a spirited debate. It's like a one-sided spirited debate. The youth is like very fiery, very spirited, and the philosopher's like very chill and grounded. And so, the youth comes to him and is like, oh my gosh, I have this friend who will not leave the house. And oh, poor friend, like he's having such a difficult time. He's feeling so anxious and, having so much anxiety around even leaving the house. And the philosopher says to him, your friend has the goal of not leaving the house. The anxiety and the fear and the depression and all of that is helping him achieve his goal of not leaving the house. And by him not leaving the house, he can get more attention from his parents. He can get special treatment from them. He can receive the attention that he potentially never received when he was growing up. And he can feel catered to, feel loved. And so the philosopher is like laying this all out. And the youth is just like, how could this be? As I was reading that, I was like, holy shit. The underlying goal is what goes undetected. It's that alluring voice that says, maybe we should stay in that corporate job. It's not so bad. And it's creating circumstances to where it doesn't seem so bad. So you start to say to yourself, why leave? And it starts to create evidence of, well, maybe this isn't so bad by putting you around people who you absolutely love. It's by giving you the flexibility of working from home. It's ample PTO. It's great benefits. So if you're operating from this goal of not wanting to leave, of course there's going to be things that show up that make you not want to leave. And you're also going to want to search for reasons to justify staying. Just a couple days ago, I caught myself trying to seek out ways to justify staying. I was talking to somebody who's always been a huge advocate of mine, and I was asking them, like, where are the growth opportunities for me here in this company? What are the sorts of things that I could potentially do? And as we talked through it and the more we played things out, the more I started to realize, like, oh my God, I'm trying to find every reason in the book to justify staying. It's like, oh, if I move to this team, if I lead here, if I'm promoted here, then I can justify staying. And it's like, no, the underlying goal that I've been operating in service of, the goal of not leaving, is actually not the thing that's authentic to me. And the real reason why I'm operating with this goal is to receive love and connection from the people around me. And the only way that that has been modeled to me has been if you work in a job that's math and science related. When in reality, I'm just like, this isn't me. Like, I'm so creative. Like, why am I in this math and science shit? But I'm doing it in service of, trying to receive love and connection. And this is all rooting back to what was modeled to me. My new goal should be around, creating this new life for myself, which is in building this podcast. It's in building a brand and a business. Where I've been feeling a lot of resistance is just in putting myself out there. And it's this sneaky energy that has gone way too undetected. This is where I feel I'll just do it tomorrow. It's this feeling exhausted by all the work that I've already done, that I'm just out of gas and can't do anything else. And if I put this through the lens of the courage to be disliked, it's almost like I'm operating with this underlying goal of, I don't want to acknowledge the part of myself that feels small. So I'm going to create a jam-packed schedule and create the feeling of exhaustion so that I don't have to post on social media and put myself out there. But the busyness and exhaustion is needed in order to achieve the goal of not facing the part of me who feels small. And when you think about it that way, it makes perfect sense. And this is also bringing up interesting situations where I was talking to a coworker recently and I made a Love Island UK reference. I don't watch Love Island UK all that often, but I watched season 3 and season 2 and I love both of them. I sat through every single episode. When I made this reference, my coworker was literally like, "No, don't tell me that. I think very highly of you and this is making me think less highly of you." The moment I heard that, my response was, "That sounds like a you problem." But as I left that interaction and I was thinking about it more, I was like, this is coming from the person who recently I've been trying to figure out how much I could really tell them about myself. And I'm like, I don't really know. Are you judging me? Are you not? Can you hold space for me or can you not? There was definitely a part of me who left that interaction and was like, see, this is why I can't be myself around this person. But that interaction aligns with this underlying goal of, I don't want to acknowledge the part of myself that feels small. And so, I'm not going to put myself out there and I'm not going to be the truest version of myself in case other people don't like it. And thinking through it now, it's like, if you can't face the part of yourself that feels small and honor it and love it and grab it with both hands and hug it and put it in your back pocket and work with it, you're not going to be able to take up space fully in the world. I experienced another interaction recently too, where it's like the person was chronically afraid of posting anything about themselves online and just having a digital footprint in general. And I'm like, this is crazy, because as I'm coming across that sort of energy, it's sort of like stoking this fear in me, or almost like trying to build evidence for reasons why I shouldn't show up online. So it's this type of super sneaky energy that comes in to cut you off at the knees. And it's also allowing you to operate in service of your underlying goal. But I think it can be so difficult to know what your underlying goal even is. How we figure it out is by looking at the details of every single thing that's happening. It's like, why am I feeling so much resistance around doing the thing that I really want to do? What are the ways in which I'm distracting myself? How does this show up in my daily routine? How does this show up in finances and in how I spend my money? It's like, money is energy too, right? So how you receive money, how you give out money, whatever that exchange is also probably going to be mirrored in these other sorts of energies that come in and around you. And as I've had these realizations of like, oh my God, these energies have come in being so undetected, I've been really examining how does this show up in finances? I've noticed two behaviors: hamster wheel and wealth building. I started examining through the lens of, okay, How am I spending my money in a way that achieves this goal of never leaving this job? And as I started to frame it that way, I was like, wait, I'm contributing to my 401k, but I'm not maxing it out. And so how can I get myself to a place where I can max it out? And can I do that now? Over the course of a few days, I'm like building myself a budget tracker. I'm looking at all the money coming in, all the money going out. What does it mean energetically for every single thing that's coming in versus going out? And through that, as I'm running the numbers over the course of a few days, I'm running and rerunning the numbers just to check myself. I'm using ChatGPT to like check my math and guide me through the thought process. Slowly I figure out, oh my God, I can max out my 401k now, and I can actually max out my Roth IRA as well. Now, I share this just to share my experience. I'm not a financial person at all. Like I don't work in finance, but that was such an important exercise of just finding where the sneaky energy is showing up in money. Because as soon as you look at it, as soon as you identify it, you take the magnifying glass and you're staring it down, that's when you can start to sort of move the energy. You can start to tweak it. You could change your approach. So these are the sneaky energies that really keep us in our old life. And if they go unchecked, we're going to stay in our old life. And, just thinking back to how this podcast has been going, this initial sneaky energy was something that I could identify so well. I was like, I know I'm going to get tested on whether or not I put out a next episode. But this whole I'm putting out the next episode, but then I'm also feeling like, I'm exhausted. I'll just do the social media stuff tomorrow. And by me constantly saying that, now I'm just now realizing that this has all been the sneakiest energy that's been coming in to prevent me from fully putting myself out there. But the good news is, there always has to be good news, is that we can change the underlying goal. And we can make sure that all of our actions are in alignment with that goal. And from there, we can start to identify evidence that ladders back up to that goal. And so really you have to figure out what the goal is, and you have to make sure that every action aligns with that. And then you have to train your brain to look at every single piece of evidence that ladders up to that goal. Any evidence that is counter to your goal, you do not pay attention to. I think about when I cut a bunch of food out of my diet because I found out I had food sensitivities to gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, bananas, mushrooms, green beans. I had to train my brain to not look at those foods. It's like I see a buffet of food. I have gotten myself to a point now where, I see the pizza on the table. I see the rolls on the table, but I'm not remembering them. It's like somebody was saying to me the other day, they were like, oh, remember that candy I brought like 3 months ago? I'm like, no, I knew that there was candy on the table, but I cannot tell you what kind of candy it was. I know nothing about the details because I couldn't eat it. It just wasn't information that I took in. And so that's that. Training our brain to really focus on the evidence that promotes our goal, that aligns with our goal, that's how we can architect real change. And, just full transparency and being so honest, I myself, just being more spiritual and woo-woo, I take this a step further. I'm like, get me to the subconscious reprogramming work that's going to help me rewire my subconscious to have this new underlying goal. Because yes, taking action and in constantly reinforcing to yourself what you want the new goal to be, super important parts of the process, But there is this other step of rewiring your subconscious and healing the limiting beliefs that were there before. Like for me, it's like I need to heal the belief that the only way to receive love and connection in career is by doing something in math and science, and that's just me being so honest. And that is such an ingrained belief, moving from this world of math and science being the only thing into this more creative, more self-expressed state. It's like going from super rigid to fully in flow. And I feel so much resistance around this. And that's why all of these different sneaky energies are coming in. It's like, how good can you get at identifying these sneaky energies? I think I'm getting better at it, slowly but surely. But the way I'm doing this subconscious work is through To Be Magnetic. I want to share this with you because if you've been resonating with this episode and you're like, oh my God, I can think of this energy that's gone undetected, and oh my God, I could think about different underlying goals that this is laddering back to. If you want some extra support in even moving into a more empowering goal, To Be Magnetic can be a great way to do it. So they have a pathway membership. That's what I'm a part of. And you get access to like all these different like self-hypnosis tracks and just different workshops that help you get to the root of really why things are the way they are in your life. And so, if you're interested in that, I have a discount code in the show notes for 15% off your membership. We're actually in a challenge right now. It's towards the tail end of the challenge, but it's all about the money challenge. And so it's definitely not too late to join that. And I would highly recommend. This is sort of why like all this energy has been coming up for me. Just to clarify, I'm not a member of the TBM team. I'm just a very passionate pathway member who's been doing this work for, I think, over 3 years. And it's truly changed my life. So if you've been enjoying this episode today, if you're there and you're like, oh, I know exactly what underlying goal I've been operating with, and holy shit, like there's so many things that I've uncovered in this. Like, I hope you give yourself a little bit of grace and just like how incredible to have that clarity. And now you can figure out how to move forward from it and just be gentle with yourself. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great week. Bye.